Good morning everybody, it's Monday the 16th of May, it is just gone 9 o'clock and I'm Claire Jones from Your One Life Healthy Weight Solutions, and I'm here to talk to you about episode 6 of Monday Morning Matters. And this today is all about how to manage others who tempt you, and I'm going to talk in a moment about that. First, I just want to give a massive shout out to everyone who's been doing the monthly challenge so far this month. I think we've got Stella, Janet, Mandy, Sarah and Gemma who are still posting consistently that they're getting their stuff done. Morning Stella, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't joined in yet and you want to join in, now obviously in terms of the prizes you have to do a minimum of 25 days to be in with the chance of winning a prize, but that doesn't mean to say you can't still take part and join in at any time of the month. You're more than welcome to, and then obviously you can always join in from the beginning of June to be in with the chance of the prizes. But for those of you who are in, obviously keep going, because it's a great way of developing healthy habits, but also thinking about how you might reward yourself at the end of that time. Even if you don't win the prize, you can still give yourself a prize, because we want to encourage this positive behaviour. We've got to remind ourselves that there's something really positive in the end result, as well as obviously the benefits you get on a day-to-day basis. And that's so important to remember, because let's face it, trying to change our habits is hard work, and there's always going to be times when we don't feel like it and we don't want to. So we've got to have something we can hang it on and just think, morning Stella, just think about something that, that's just something a little extra that's going to give you that edge. And I just wanted to remind you how the prizes work. So I used to just give a £10 gift voucher, but I decided that I wanted to sort of switch it up a little bit and make the prizes a little bit more personal to whoever wins. So obviously everyone who's completed the minimum 25 days goes into the prize draw, as long as you put your entry sheet in. But obviously only one person can win the prize. And in March it was, morning Mandy, in March it was Gemma, who she won some socks, which she posted in the group I think a couple of weeks ago. Now I know Gemma loves coffee, so she got some socks, and on the bottom it says, if you can read this, bring me coffee. So I think she rather liked those, and they fitted, which was good. And then Sarah, who won the April challenge, she got some pots. You may have seen her post in the group. She got some pots with sort of different size pots for different foods, to just take some of the pressure out the weighing and measuring when we're trying to track our food. Obviously it's really important that we're being accurate about portion sizes. Morning Lucy, morning Mandy. So being able to be accurate about portion sizes, if you're in a rush and you haven't got time to weigh and measure stuff, so if you've got a busy day at work or you're running around after the kids, and you know that if you eyeball things you're in danger of eating a bit too much, by using something that's done the measurements for you can take some of the hassle out of it, whilst you're still learning about what is the right portion size for you. So watch this space for who is going to win the May prize, because obviously I don't know who it's going to be yet, and so I don't know what the prize is going to be yet, but whatever it will be something that I know you're going to find useful or a bit of fun or whatever, something that I know you'll like. So watch this space on that, and please make sure, obviously if you are watching live, and it's really nice to see people commenting to let me know that you're here, which is wonderful. Thank you. That really does help the Facebook algorithm to know that this is the sort of thing you want to watch, because it will show you more of it in the future, and it will also alert other people who perhaps are busy doing other things, can't watch live, that I have done a live video and that they can pop in and watch it later. So if you're watching live, great, say hello. If you're watching on replay, put hashtag replay in the comments, and obviously let me know what your comments are about today's video, because obviously I want these videos to be helpful. So what are we going to talk about today? As I mentioned, it's all about how to manage others who lead us astray. Now, this is a very, very common problem when it comes to weight loss, or indeed any other behaviour change, whether it's you're trying to stop smoking or you're trying to cut down or cut out alcohol, you know, whatever it is you might be trying to do, there will always be other people who will lead you astray. Not necessarily deliberately, but if you're already in a frame of mind where you're kind of, maybe you're already struggling a little bit, and you're already kind of like on that kind of slippery slope of, oh, I don't know if I want to go to the gym today, or I don't know, or, you know, or there's cake and I can't resist it. Whatever the situation is, you know, there's other people who, you know, we're going to be vulnerable to the temptations that they bring. So I'm just going to give you a few pointers on this. So these are only really short videos. Obviously, if you want longer videos and you want more of my support, then obviously you've got the programme and the Accountability Club options available to you. So these are really just short and snappy. But I'm just going to run through, there's 8 points that I've written down that I'm going to take you through that I think are really going to help you with managing this situation, or these kinds of situations. And the really important point to note here is that it starts and it ends with you. Okay, it's not other people's fault. It's you and your choices that are going to make a success of it or not. Okay, so whilst other people may influence us, it's ultimately us that takes the action, and we've got to own that. We've got to take responsibility for that. There's no good blaming other people. We have to take responsibility for our actions. I was reminded about this on Saturday night when my husband said, oh, I'm going to bring out some popcorn while we watch film. And I was like, oh, please don't, because I'm really trying to not overeat at the moment, because I'm still feeling a bit fluffy after having COVID. So I'm just really paying closer attention. He said, well, you don't have to eat them. And I'm like, yeah, he had a good point there. A very good point. I don't have to eat them. I have a choice, you know. Okay, so having them sitting there was going to be tempting, but I still have that power to say no if I choose to use it. Yeah. So that's a good example, and I'm sure you can think of many others. So it starts and ends with us. So the first thing I think that you find helpful to do is to think about, just do a bit of brainstorming, think about and write down every situation that you can think of where this has actually happened. And you might be able to think of some recent examples, you might have to go a bit further back, but just spend some time thinking about all the different kinds of times where other people tempt you from either for doing something different to perhaps what you had intended, whether that be doing something you didn't want to do or not doing something you did want to do. Either way, that's what this is about. Okay, so just brainstorm and write down everything that you can think of, and then you'll have a list of a few things that we can then work on. So in those situations, once you've got that list, I'd like you to think about, what was it that went through your mind at the time that these things happen? So how easily did you get swayed? Did you have this long battle and then eventually give in, or did you have, was it like that was it? You just got knocked over at the first sort of sniff of a temptation. So what happened? You know, what went through your mind? What inner dialogue did you have with yourself? You know, it may not necessarily be in words, it may be in pictures, it may be in feelings, whatever is your way of thinking about these things. Okay, so that's going to give you some really good information from which you can now start to come up with a plan of how you're going to deal with this. So I want you to use the learning from that experience to come up with what you need to do differently in those situations, where the temptations are. Okay, and at the same time, what I also would like you to do is to remind yourself, yes, knocked down by the sight of cake, oh yeah, I know that one. So what I also want you to do whilst you're writing all of this down is to be really clear with yourself, and write this down as well, of what it is that you really want the most. Is it the cake? I'm willing to bet that it's not, okay, but I have to say, if it is the cake, then that's okay, because that's actually what you really want. And is it worth carrying on battling with yourself if actually you do really want the cake more than anything else, you know, and maybe we've got some work to do there on switching that around. But, you know, if you really want the cake more than you want to lose weight, then stop battling with yourself and have the cake. Yeah. But if you really want to lose the weight and know all of the things that brings you, and it's important that you know what that is, then it will become easier to say no to the cake, as long as you're keeping on reminding yourself. So you need to write this down along with your strategy. So once you've got that strategy, what I want you to think about is how the significant others in your life, and in particular the people who are leading you astray, or you feel are leading you astray, how you think they could best support you. Okay, so it's not just a case of going, I'm on a diet, so don't give me any chocolate. Okay, that's not good enough. They're just going to go, oh, again, here we go again. I want you to really think about, what is it that you really need from them? Okay, because if you don't tell them, they're not going to know. So you need to understand first what it is that you need from them. Okay. And then once you've worked that out, write it down. So I want you to write all of these things down, because if you're just doing it, morning, Rebecca, if you're just doing it in your head, then all of these things are going to be jumbled up. All right. You need to write these down. You need to write number 1, I'm going to do this. Number 2, number 3. So these are all in order. So we're now on number 6, okay, which is have a think about how the significant others in your life can support you. Okay. Number 7, I want you to have an honest conversation with them about why this is so important to you. So that's why you need to have done that bit of work first, okay? Why this is so important to you. So it's not just, I want to lose weight, I'm on a diet. It's what that actually means to you, yeah? And getting that across to them. And what help you actually need from them. And you're going to need to give them examples. It's not just good enough to say, I need your help. You need to say how. And in every situation that you can think of. So you've done the work, okay, so you've done we had a takeaway. I didn't want to have all of the Chinese and all of the stuff. I wanted to have a kebab without the pitta, and we ended up having the Chinese because that was what they wanted. And perhaps you did too, really. But, you know, when you are trying to watch your weight, when you're trying to reduce your weight, and you're trying to limit your calories to something that's not going to put you into a surplus and is going to keep you in a deficit, you need to make different choices about things like takeaways, because it is impossible to have the takeaway that you really want and lose weight. So you've got to make these compromises. So really think about the examples of how they can support you. Okay. And then finally, number 8, you need to recognise that you will need to keep working at this. Okay, it's not going to be good enough to just have that conversation once and then expect it all to work swimmingly from then on in. It's not going to work like that. It just doesn't work like that. This is life. You've got to remind them. You've got to remind yourself. You've got to keep doing this work. So, and be kind to yourself, and remember that you're not always going to get it right. Okay? If you don't get it right, you've got 2 choices. You either beat yourself up and then just go off and give up, or you keep working at it. Because what you've got to remember is that the way that you behave at the moment is the result of years and years and years of habits, yeah, and ways of responding to things that you've learned because that was your way of doing things. Yeah, that's without thinking, without paying attention, because you just didn't think you needed to, because it didn't hurt you, because it doesn't. We're not hardwired to pay attention to every single thing we eat. But unfortunately, in the world that we live in, we have to do that if we want to try and manage our weight better. So that's a learning process, yeah? So have the conversation, do this work, make your list, but keep going back to it. So each time you have a situation where you were tempted, review what you did. Did you do what you intended? If you did, brilliant. What was the result of that? How do you feel? Really hold on to that. If you didn't, what happened? You can use this as another great example to change your behaviour, to change your whole way of approaching this, because you've now got a new example you can learn from. and see it in that way. But whatever you do, don't beat yourself up. By all means, you can be a bit disappointed with yourself and a bit frustrated, cross, yeah? That's important that we experience that, because you need to use that, you need to feel those feelings in order to fire up the motivation to make the changes. But you need to channel it positively. So yeah, oh, this is what happened. I'm disappointed with myself. But do you know what? I'm not going to allow myself to stay here. I'm going to do something about it. This is what I'm going to do instead. And write it down. The more you write things down, the more they're going to stick in your mind, and the more you're going to remind yourself of what's really important to you. As I say, if it's all in your head, it's just going to get jumbled up and go round and round, and you're not going to make sense of it, and it's still just going to kind of knock you off track when the moment strikes. So I'm going to leave it there. As I say, if you want to work on these sorts of things more, then come and do my programme. Come and join my accountability club. But have a go at this and let me know how you get on. Let me know in the comments. Maybe even create your own post and say, I've just done this, and this is what I've come up with. So other people can see what you've done, and then they can get inspired and get some ideas. And hey, you may even get some more ideas yourself from what other people do. So feel free to post in the group what you've done. You don't need to put it under the comments here. You can make your own post, because then it'll stand out a bit more, and you'll be able to find it a bit more easily later if you want to come back to it. And keep your own record as well, because that's so important. So I'm going to leave it there, because I've got to go off and go into the accountability club now and do their video. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'll be looking out for your posts on actually doing this, because I know, I doubt very much that there's a single person that this doesn't apply to. If you have trouble with your weight and you're in this group because you have trouble with your weight, this is going to be a thing that's going to help you. All right, so let me know how you get on. I'm going to be looking out for you. Take care. See you. Bye.